be in both is because most people think that alcohol is a depressant or a downer when it can be the opposite for some people. So it's some people have an adverse effect of Benadryl. Like when you take Benadryl, you get very hyper, and it's very few, but that's what alcohol can do also. It's like, we anticipate or when we have to go back to work on Monday and we're thinking about, I can't wait till it's Friday so I can go out with my friends and have a drink or go, forget about work. And that's that anticipation moment. So some people don't think about that. That we didn't speak on as a potential barrier beyond, you don't know the person that well or, anything come to mind besides what we've talked about? There's not necessarily a fix. If they do accept help and they do go to treatment, know that treatment does not fix them either. It can help them, but you have to want to get sober or you have to want to be in recovery. That stuff is just kind of a stepping stone to teach you how to do that. So just beware, like if someone does go to treatment and they come out, still use all of this, knowing that they're not miraculously fixed because they went to a program. So as we see, the results are of there's 9.1% or 22.35 million Americans who have resolved an alcohol or drug problem. I don't think, to me, no one ever fully recovers from a substance use disorder or mental health disorder. We just, we work a program or work some type of in our well-being that helps us deal with our day-to-day problems. As we see, the primary substance of choice most is alcohol, obviously, and then cannabis and on down. So, and then at the bottom we see that 60% of males have a substance use disorder, 61% are non-Hispanic white, 48% are employed, and you guys can see the rest. As far as treatment goes, most people seek a formal most people seek a formal treatment. 28% seek a formal treatment. Most people seek self-help groups or mutual aid groups. So 17% are an outpatient, which can be IOP, intensive outpatient treatment. Some people try that before they try an inpatient because it's it could be a 2 to 3 day, a week, couple hours throughout that kind of teach you the same thing that you do inpatient. It's just more informal. And then formal treatment could be, anywhere from 30 to 90 days to 6 months to, there are some that are longer than that, depending on the severity of the issue. Then there's medically assisted treatment, MAT. So that could be something like Suboxone, or as we were talking, there are pills that you can take that kind of cut off the receptors that there's I can see when I learned in treatment, there's a triangle that they cut off certain receptors that make you crave or whatever it may be, that psychological triangle. And then you have your recovery support services. So there are some people that can just go to church and recover, not recover, but be in recovery by just using God or whoever it may be, their higher power. And then we have our self-help groups or our mutual aid groups. So a lot of people can go to, what we know, the most predominant are AA or NA, so Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, and can get help that way by just going to these groups, following a program, getting a sponsor, on and on.
Can you just go back one?
Yeah.
So this is the sort of many pathways. You can recover by turning up to a 12-step meeting for free.
Well, even if you go to a formal treatment and you have the money when you get out, there needs to be a program set in place. That could be, a 12-step or a refuge or, whatever it may be, a natural recovery. So, treatment is expensive. You want to talk about that?
This was the...
Monica explained earlier that we were both people in recovery, but recovery to me is that I haven't had a sip of alcohol or using illegal drugs 15 months today.
Yay!
So this is just this is not one of my favorite slides, just because of the awesome band and unicorn. So it says, "Get in, loser. We're healing from past trauma and changing our negative coping mechanisms." So we talk about being in recovery like we're just unicorns. Like, do people really recover or are in recovery? You don't drink? What? So, when I first got into recovery, and then to the recovery community, when I saw this, I was like, this is me right here. So this is our recovery statement for the recovery community. And yes, I was a returning student straight from recovery. And then by the grace of God or my higher power, I was able to come and work for the recovery community also. So we believe that recovery is more than the absence of substance use. Instead, it's the presence of sustained, consistent action to improve all aspects of our lives. Recovery includes improved well-being, becoming a better person, living in positive community with others, finding meaning and purpose, and being of service to those around us. So what I also work at NRBCS, and I work with clients at the treatment facility they have, and I teach a group on health and wellness, and one of my topics is, recovery isn't just sobriety. Like, you just don't get sober and like the world is great again, So it is improving all aspects of our lives, and that's what this meant so much to me, because that's what I wanted to do. It's become a better person, have improved well-being, be positive, live in a positive community, and find purpose and help others. So, and then in the end, obviously, recovery provides hope. Does it get better? Yes, it does. Very much so. All of that. Quality of life, happiness, recovery capital, psychological distress, self-esteem, it's amazing. But not right away. Going to treatment, like I said, it could be 30 days, it could be 60, it could be however long it may be. When you're in treatment, that is the safest place that you can be. So everything's great there, but you still have to walk out of those doors back to all of the problems, family, money, whatever it may be. So, it can come to that point where you have a little dip in your happiness and everything else, and then following that program continues to go up.
Can I just go back one, please?
Sure. Talking about post-acute withdrawal syndrome. So after you start to get sober, these things come predominant. So anhedonia, that feeling of nothing is going to be good, or how am I going to have fun without drugs or alcohol? Obviously, there's going to be difficulty sleeping because we probably use to sleep. And then memory loss from, the drugs and alcohol can be a problem. That comes back, trust me. Difficulty setting priorities. I mean, we didn't set we probably tried to set priorities while we were drinking or using, but they didn't always work out. And then stress sensitivity. So, our emotions are all over the place when we're trying to get sober and figure out the thing we call life. So, this could go on for 6 months. This could go on for years. It just depends.
So, back up, I just want to touch on, I mentioned before,
To get that high, and we're stretching our dopamine and serotonin levels so high that when we come off of our substance of choice, that has to come back down and level out, and that could take a long time, depending on how much you use, how long you've used.
So pause really is
Study, play video games, just chill out, kind of get away from that hustle and bustle of college life, and then reinforce the decision of recovery while they pursue education. And I didn't have to choose between my recovery and education. Especially coming back 3 months into sobriety, they say don't take on many big things. And I went straight to working full time and coming back to college after a 23-year vacation. So the collegiate recovery program helped me tremendously. And that was also to get in touch with SSD, because substance use disorder is looked at as a disability. So, but also knowing that a mental health disorder co-occurring comes with that. So, lost my clicker. So at the Roost, or at the recovery community, we run meetings throughout the week. We have an all recovery meeting on Monday, and that's like it says, all recovery. And then Wednesdays we have all male, or send dudes meeting. We have Tuesday, we have recovery scholars. Thursday we have a friends and family meeting. So those that have loved ones or friends that are in recovery, or needing recovery and they need some extra support. And then Friday we do not have a meeting. Saturday we have women and non-binary. Monday is Zoom. Wednesday is or Tuesday is in person. Wednesday is hybrid. Thursday is in person, not hybrid. Saturday is in person. And then every other Sunday, or first, third, and fifth Sunday, we have an LGBTQ plus meeting, which is in person, and it's hybrid also.
Yeah. We did start this semester.
What is this thing called? The fulcrum.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're trying to get into recovery and focus on our recovery, how do we balance out all of these things? So using a recovery community, we can move that over, and as some people say, we can balance out those things. I don't like to say that. I like to make everything flow. So I don't like the scale to be one way or the other. I like to, obviously I know to take things off my plate if they don't need to be there, but that's not to balance out, the equation. That's just, it doesn't need to be there anymore. So we can kind of, I say flow, or like be in harmony with all of these things by using the recovery community and our resources. We do know that this is that they made this for me, actually. And we know that at the first stage of drink, how the progression goes before we get to a stable recovery, as far as addiction-related consequences or substance use-related consequences, age of first treatment, return to use cycle, and then stable recovery. But with collegiate recovery, and I think this number still needs to be back in that 13 to 14 range nowadays. Knowing a little bit more, planting that seed, and knowing about recovery earlier, and getting into treatment earlier, or an outpatient, that recovery, return to use lowers, and then able to get a stable recovery earlier in age than others. So how do we become an ally? Advocate, educate others about recovery. We're trying to reduce the stigma of what recovery is. This, to me, I truly believe like this is going to become the norm. Like recovery will be normal down the road, whether that's 10, 20 years. Like this is going to be the new norm. Be aware of the environments we create, and work to creating safe ones. So I think we talk about here, like when we have business meetings, people tend to have business meetings at bars. Not everyone drinks. So why are we need to try to create safe ones for other people. We talk about not judging, and just be more curious, asking questions. And if you have a question, don't be scared to ask. I think we went through a lot of this. Obviously we're here today, we're listening and having an open mind. We're trying to reduce stigmatized language. So you hear us say substance use disorder instead of substance abuse, return to use instead of relapse. kind of looking at your own beliefs on these things. And then, like we talked about in the recovery statement, it's not just about stopping substances. So here at Virginia Tech, we affirm roles and value identity. So if you guys see the little my fidget thing that I was using, that's, you know, in the AA and NA community, they give out chips and tags. So when you graduate from Tech, you get a recovery community chip with your graduation date, and that's made out of Pokey Stone. And then the purple
Tassel.
cord tassel, and that's the recovery color is purple. And then also, this is Monica's 8-year gift that Hooky Wellness gave her that says Unity Recovery and Service, which is it's the AA triangle. And in that, everyone from Hooky Wellness just wrote some really nice things, except for me. I did not.
I know you. We mentioned this before about kind of sobriety